Being a therapist must be a very intriguing profession, in my opinion. Like, imagine someone like just revealing like the deepest, darkest, deepest, darkest secret to you. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, first of all, being a therapist or being a psychiatrist, I don't even know, being a psychologist, but being a therapist mostly, is a very convoluted and probably profession because you would delve into the vulnerability and the realm of a human being. So it's like if you create a space for someone to really reveal their true self to you, who are their chaos, who they are as an individual. It's like they're trying to unmask themselves to you because that's your expertise. That's your expertise. That's what you mastered in. It's just a very weird job in my opinion because first of all, we're all human beings. Sorry, I'm saying the customer that we close. First of all, we're all human beings, and when I see a human being, I presume like it's like a whole stage of life. When you see like an individual, you presume, especially if they're very put together, you presume like everything. It's not everything is good, but they have everything good, or at least they have the essentials to go through life, easy, like seamlessly, But then it's like once, let's say for example, for like a therapist, once like you create like an ambience, like a space for someone to like just be themselves. I'm talking about be themselves in the sense like you ask them a question, and then even though they would take a minute to really unravel who they truly are, they still share that with you. And I think that's a massive amount of power for an individual or for an individual. Because at the end of the day, you're still a human being. And as a therapist, you're still a human being. And you gotta have a way of like shielding yourself and protecting yourself. And protecting yourself. And like, everyone is different, but then we have our own set of trauma, our own set of like baggages, We're all different, obviously, but we also have our own set of, trash and garbage and baggages and so much stuff. And it's like relaying that on another individual. It's just so astounding to me because the dynamic must be insane. Because I'm the patient. I'm revealing everything to you about me, so you can help me heal in some sense. You can show me the practical step I can take, or the practical, healthiest approach I can take to better myself. And I'm sharing all my deepest thoughts, my deepest insecurity, how everything connect and men together. I'm sharing it all with you. I find that to be very, very the weirdest of all weirdest dynamic. It's like to me it's similar to having a dynamic with God, because like God knows what you're doing. God sees everything. God knows all your deepest secrets. God knows the thinness and the fabric of who you are as an individual, right? That's how I see this too. It's like a kind of like a lower level dynamic between a human being and a God in some sense. Because it's not like you're gonna use it against them, because you can't use it against them. But then it's like, you know this about me. You know this about me. You know what I've been through. You know my circumstances. You know my deepest trauma. You know it all. I voluntarily share it with you. I voluntarily reveal it to you. So you know it now. You have a hold on me in some sense. You know, especially when you don't feel like you really want to share with anyone, and you didn't really feel like you want to share with anyone. So it's kind of upsetting, you know, kind of weird, but it's really cool at the same time. It's really cool because like thinking about it and like, wow, it's insane. Like think about it. The dynamic between an individual and a therapist is closely related to, in my opinion, I know most people are gonna disagree, but I think, especially if you need a therapist to really cope and really kind of understand how things really shape you as an individual, how your experiences and your, you know, the way of life really have a part, like plays a part in your daily life, you know. I think once you really get to that point where it's like you really are enmeshed with a therapist, and it's like you need a therapist, and then you share everything with that person, with that therapist. I feel like that's when it's like that dynamic is like cool. It's not cool like cool, but it's like because the power that the therapist holds is so high compared to the individual, and the patient the therapist can do whatever you want to do with it, you know. You can just be like, no more, no, I'm gonna spill your secret. That's not gonna happen obviously, but just really weird. And I think we tend to forget, we tend to forget that therapists are also human beings too. Like I said previously, like if I saw someone, right, and then a few seconds they start relaying everything to me as a therapist, right? Also as a human being, I am not gonna see you the same way. I'm sorry, but we can't see you the same way. That's why you cannot tell everyone your secret. Sorry, but not sorry, because it affects the relationship. It affects everything. It affects it all. It affects everything. Like you can't. There's certain stuff you just gotta keep it to yourself till you die, or share it with God, and that's it. You can't really invest in like being such a clean slate, or being like such a like an open slate to everyone, or to your closest of people, because not only is it gonna change how they perceive you, I believe that it's also like it's always a play within that person's mind, like me as an individual, right? Like if someone came to me and share like one of their interesting life story to me, right? I'll be like, okay, quite interesting, really interesting, but in my mind, I've already formed, like, kind of like, I've already categorized it, I already categorized you, I already compartmentalized you. I have done it all to the point that I've shaped you as an individual. Now, I'm looking at you through that lens. And it's sad because we want people to grow as an individual, but then we are the same people that limit them. You know, I want someone to grow. I want someone to move past their life, you know, circumstances. But then I hold it against them in my mind. How does that play? That's why I'm like, being a therapist is probably the most mind-boggling job ever, because someone is voluntarily, someone is like intentionally trying to work through their life problems with you and through you. And it's like, that is cool, that is incredible, but then it's like, you are also an individual, you are also a human being too. How do you combat that level of power, first of all, that someone is, I mean, it's your profession, you're getting paid for it, yeah. Also, there's a power at stake too, you know, between your dynamics, between you guys' dynamics. And then also, it's like, how do you keep yourself grounded in a place where it doesn't conflict with how you perceive that person. How do you even see that person in the same light? Like, how do you keep seeing that person in a good light or in a very objective light? I know you can like come back there in your mind and be like, the pro, like nah and nah, nays and nays. But at the end of the day, you are still a human being. It's gonna shape how you perceive an individual. That's why we all have life stories. That's why I have a life story, because my life story shaped me. And even though I tend to believe that, like, no one really knows me and no one can really understand me, people can understand you, sorry buddy. Everyone can understand you if they take their time to understand you. Everyone can understand you if they take their time to understand you. Yeah. I keep telling my customers that I'm close, sorry y'all. Anyone can understand you if they take a close look at your life and you really share it with them. Everything is gonna make sense. How you act, everything will make sense. But there's a sense of pride in thinking that no one can understand you. I'm built different. I am shaped differently. You know, my life circumstance doesn't determine or doesn't conclude my behavior, or doesn't play a part in me and how I behave. But I really beg to differ. It does, and that's why we all go to therapists sometimes, because we do that so we can reevaluate, we can understand, and we can kind of like evolve and grow out of it. You know, grow out of that kind of like that pattern or that kind of box. You know. But I'm understandable. Everyone can understand me if you know me, you know. And sometimes it's deeper to reach. It's deeper to really understand an individual, because it's on the soul level, right? It's like really deep. So it's like, but everything makes sense. Everyone makes sense, okay? You are not hard to construe. Everyone makes sense. And I think we go into the therapist and trying to understand ourselves and trying to better ourselves and improve on ourselves. I think we thrust so much power in the therapist, which if someone is helping you, it's a transactional thing. If someone is trying to help you, don't let them help you. But at the end, there's also power at play too. And I just feel like therapists are human beings too. So I don't know no matter what kind of approaches they take, no matter how stoic they try to be, I believe that it affects them too. Like, there's some really crazy, dangerous life stories that really shook you up, you know, get you up on your seat, and you're like, wow, I can't believe it, right? So yeah. So I really do. My main thought is that I really think that therapists are just human beings, and it's just very hard to really like you want someone to help you, but how dark can you go? How deep can you go with that conversation? How much can you reveal? You know, I'm young. You know, I'm not talking about my circumstances. I'm saying in general, like, how much can you reveal to an individual, you know? At the end of the day, they are just a human being too, you know? And I think you gotta take precise measures when really relaying information about your life on people, because it really can have an effect on you, you know? So obviously be cautious on what you talk about, and know what you're talking about too, and it's a very hard concept, and yeah, it's hard to understand sometimes, but I love talking about stuff like this because it's hard for me to really understand the dynamics sometimes between individuals, especially at play, especially for like a therapist and a patient or a patient, you know. I think that is so an interesting take, because if I was a therapist, right, like, let's be for real, and someone came up to me talking about the darkest of veil defiled way, like talking about the most darkest things to me, right? I would literally, I don't know, it would shape how I perceive you, honestly. It would shape how I perceive you as an individual. I would take precaution. I would not stop thinking about it too. Like, thank God I'm not a therapist, but just gotta come to a common place where we understand that therapists are human beings, period. And they are also shaped by the human nature, the human tendency, And I think they're not like their profession and their medium is good, and like them taking like the medium to really help people and to create space for people to really improve and like heal. It's incredible. It's top notch. But let's not forget that they're human beings too, okay? And that's all I got for today, alright? And I'm about to close out my show. So thank you for listening to my app session, alright? Thank you.